You can breed 90% of all PALs in the game from some Lamball, Chikipi and Bushi without ever leaving your base. So I'll explain how to do that first, and then I'll go through the last 10% of PALs, plus a little bonus on how to get Astralym, catch Zoe, and where to find the PALs from Terraria so that you can breed the perfect Chikipi. Feel free to skip to the next chapter if you don't care about breeding, though I'll be very quick. As you already know, to start breeding PALs you need a breeding farm and cakes, for which you need to reach level 19 and catch Big Guard, Matsarina and Chikipi. By that time, I am assuming you've caught all the PALs in the starting areas during both day and night, and should have all of these. The other piece of the puzzle is traveling to this area and catching a Bushi, or to this area to catch the boss. Why Bushi? Because he is at the median of all breeding powers in the game. You may pick anyone else in the range, I assume. The way breeding works is that each PAL has breeding power, and when bred with another, the breeding power is combined and then divided by 2. That's who you get as the result. Then, breed that PAL with Bushi again and get the middle of that. Since all of these have their unique combinations, we'll talk about those later, you'll get the next possible value, which is Felbat. So having Bushi means you could breed him with both the weakest and the strongest PAL in the game and eventually produce every single breedable PAL. But I said in the beginning that Bushi and Lamball is enough, so how on earth would you get Ophydia? Well, here's the quick rundown. Assuming you have all the starter PALs like I mentioned earlier, you can breed them with one another and Bushi to get all of these. If you're gonna go this route, consider checking out my video on making perfect PALs so that you don't just breed whatever, but get all the good IVs and passives in the process. Now, the way we're going to get PALs with higher breeding power is we're gonna use the special combinations that don't follow the before mentioned formula. So we'll take Foxicle and Vanworm that we already have to make Vanworm Christ, which has breeding power 1430, whereas Bushi has 1560, which means we've now unlocked all of these for breeding, with the exception of the special combinations like Noct and Lux, confirmed by the breeding calculator, link in the description. So we add all of those to the checklist and take Petalia to make the following ones, and the end list will look like this. Now we can make a whole bunch of special combinations, and here's the full list of those that we can make now. After we do that, Niafia, Bushi Noct, Warsect Terra, and lots more unlock to us. We get Mana Sting from Palumba and Solmora Lux, and having Warsect Terra and Mana Sting allows us to make all of these endgame PALs, which allows us to make specials for many of the weaker PALs that we didn't get a chance earlier, like Univolt and Azerope. Making them allows us to breed Jormuntide, Sekhmet, Astegon, and other great PALs. We get Noclem from breeding Dualit Noct with Celestir Noct, and create Noclem Ignis, Menasting Terra, Eidrolon Ignis, Ophydia, Dupin, and Renjishi. This is the full list of the PALs that we breed in the process, which confirms that we can breed 90% of all PALs in the game, and that you can relatively easily have 90% of all PALs in the game with Rainbow and Demon Tree passives and 100% IVs. One thing I didn't mention in my perfect PAL breeding video is that you can boost the chances of having good passives being passed on to children by building Ancient Hatchery or using special cakes. But by using Ancient Hatchery, you'd be sacrificing the Greentail's egg duplication ability that has the benefit of rerolling IVs, because you wouldn't be manually collecting those eggs. On prior levels, the best you can do is get vegetable cakes, which give double eggs. And of course use Greentail with a saddle for the same effect. Now what about the rest? All of these PALs can only breed with one another, so you have to catch them in the world, and can't pass any of the passives and IVs onto them that you've already bred. So in order for any of these PALs to have a full set of great rainbow passives, you will have to break down relics from the world tree in the relic recycler and get single-use implants that can then be used at the surgery table. For increasing IVs, you'll have to farm dog coins or bounty tokens and buy fruits from the PIDF officer or the merchant at the church ruins here. One fruit gives 10 for one stat and costs 200 dog coins. 200 dog coins is the amount that Mimok gives when caught at the World Tree. Mimok spawns randomly around the world and you can find it anywhere, from the forests to the World Tree, but it gives the best loot when caught or killed at the highest level in the World Tree. Once you hit it once, it quickly runs away and it's impossible to catch then. So the best way to catch one is to just throw the most powerful sphere at it. If you just want to farm it for the dog coins, try to one-punch it or freeze it, because it won't give you a second chance. Xenovader and Xenoguard only spawn during meteorite events. You'll see Xenovader around meteorites that fall in low-level areas and Xenoguard around meteorites falling in high-level areas, like the Astral Mountains. Astral Mountains is also where you'll find Frostallion, one of the several legendary pals in the game that you can only get by defeating and capturing in one specific location. Along with Palladius and Necromos, Neptilius, and Jet Dragon, they all come with the legend passive. You can also breed Frostallion and Hellzephyr to make Frostallion Noct, which means Frostallion Noct can be rather easily bred to have 100 IV with perfect passives, unlike the regular Frostallion. If you'd rather catch it, it's available as a boss in the Wildlife Sanctuary 3, which is located in the northeast corner of the map. This is also the only place you can find Shadowbeak. You'll catch Grisbolt level 30 in this Wildlife Sanctuary or level 70 in the World Tree. Having a Grisbolt will allow you to breed it with Masanda for Masanda looks. Speaking of the World Tree, in order to get there, you'll have to complete a mission, at the end of which you'll meet Panthalus. That's the only way to catch it, and you cannot use it for breeding. It also comes with the legend passive. You don't need to have a Mercy ring to catch it, as it will stay at 1 HP regardless, until you throw a sphere at it. Once you defeat Panthalus, you'll have access to the World Tree, where you'll catch Lileen, Lileen Noct, Orsurk, Phaleris Aqua, Selene, Bastigor, Xiaolong, and, of course, Grisbolt, but also Masanda Lux. In the World Tree, there's 3 more bosses that cannot be caught anywhere else. These are Aegidron, Dandilord, and Sylvans. And then there's a bunch of bosses in the game that you can only catch through participating in raids. These are Bellanor, Bellanor Libero, Blazamuth Ryu, Xenolord, and Hartalis. To summon them, you'll need to craft the corresponding slabs in Workshop, each of which requires 4 slab fragments. You can get some of these slabs in dungeons and secret places, but to get a meaningful amount you will have to send your pals on expeditions. Expeditions only open up after you defeat bosses in towers, like Zoe with her Grisbolt, so to get better expeditions with better rewards and better slabs, that's what you have to do. But they'll also be harder, requiring more powerful pals. The power is determined by pals level, condensation, and soul upgrades. It stands to mention that expeditions take a long time, which you can counter by building multiple bases with expedition stations, as those are independent of one another, or installing a mod that reduces the length of expeditions. To see all the mods that I have tested and recommend, check out my video here. Now, with a slab crafted, you'll want to have a summoning altar, available at level 33 by spending ancient technology points. I don't recommend summoning the raid boss on your base, because in the raid area you'll have a pal box and will have 5 minutes to build whatever you want if you need any of that, and if you die, you just revive by the raid area pal box, so there's really no advantage to letting them tear through your base. And by the way, don't forget that you have a pal box that you can summon a whole lot of pals to fight with. I beat quite a few bosses with just one pal, not realizing the power of having a pal box. Once you defeat them, they give you an egg. In the case of Bellanor, there's a 90% chance it will be a female, so you'll likely have to use the surgery table to change the gender of the second one you catch, which you'll have to do because you can't breed them with anyone else but with someone from the same species. Since you don't catch any of the raid bosses, you won't be able to pass any passives to them through Yakumo, and since you can't breed them with other species, the chance of achieving 100 IV raid boss with perfect passives through breeding is impossible, so it's best to focus on farming dog coins and relics in the World Tree to be able to buy fruits and get implants. The only one PAL from this whole list that you can breed is Aegidron, by the way of mutated eggs. Such mutations only happen 1% of the time, but give you a PAL that has much higher breeding power than the two you are in the process of breeding. Breeding Bustigore, Eidrolon Ignis, or Jetragon will eventually give you a mutated egg that has 100% chance to be an Aegidron. Just don't forget to pick it up with a green tail for a chance to get a second one. Extravagant vegetable cakes will increase the likelihood of such mutated eggs. Now, what else? There is a Terraria island with PALs from Terraria, all of which can by the way be bred with other PALs, which is the only way to breed down all the great passes like Legend into Lamball and Chikipi. And getting a Celestial Sigil schematic there will allow you to summon the Moon Lord, though it won't give you an egg, and just like Astralym, it cannot be caught. However, for Astralym, it's actually possible to own it if you use one of the mods that make it possible, like Creative Menu, though I wouldn't advise it since it's completely unusable. Instead, if you want to do something illegal, just catch some people and put them to work. Zoe here, for example, has handiwork, so you know. So how long have you been playing and how many PALs have you caught so far? The only PAL I'm missing is Astralym, because I don't see the point of cheating this way just to have a dead weight in the PAL box. So yeah, share your stats in the comments, check out my other videos, and if you'd like a 10% discount on a dedicated server from G Portal, use my link in the description. Thanks.